You can also use GPT-Dash to help you create podcasts. So for example, if we want to create a podcast or audio script, let's say the topic for this episode is, I'm just going to use my topic I've been using throughout these demos, which is how to catch trout in the streams of Colorado. Let's generate a script for that. Here we go. It's got an intro. Welcome to the Colorado Fishing Guide podcast, where we bring you the latest tips and advice on how to catch the biggest and most elusive fish in the state of Colorado. Today's episode is all about catching trout in the streams of Colorado. Believe it or not, Colorado is home to some of the best trout fishing in the world, and we're going to help you get into this amazing angling action. All right, so, it looks like this is probably about, I'd say about 5 to 6 minutes of content. So there are actually podcasts that short. Now, if you wanted to make it a little longer, you could just simply create segments, right? So maybe you have an overall topic and then you've got, a little bit of an outline. So you could create a few segments, maybe 3 segments would turn it into what might be more of a full-fledged, 15 to 20 minute podcast. All right, let's go back and come up with some interview questions, because that's a great way to do podcasts as well. Let's say I'm interviewing Mike Jones, the CEO of Acme Fishing Company, and the topic is going to be how to use the products of Acme Fishing Company to catch trout in rivers and lakes. Let's go ahead and generate some questions. All right, so with these 10 questions, we could easily have a podcast. It could end up being an hour-long podcast for that matter. But what inspired you to start Acme Fishing Company? Can you share some information about the products that Acme Fishing Company offers for catching trout in rivers and lakes? What makes Acme Fishing Company's products unique and effective in catching trout? Can you provide some tips for using Acme Fishing Company's products to catch trout in rivers and lakes? Because that's, it knows that podcast listeners, that's what they want. They're going to want some tips. How important is it to have the right equipment when fishing for trout? The AI was also smart enough to realize that, this was probably some sort of a co-promotion, right? It knows that it's important to highlight Acme Fishing Company's products, but it also is wanting to come up with something that's going to be very interesting for the listeners of this podcast. Like, what are some common mistakes that anglers make when using the Acme Fishing Company's products? So absolutely great questions that it came up with here.